All right. Welcome everyone. So good to have you all with us live. Those of you who are in here, I can see your names, saw some of your faces. Always just the highlight of my week, guys. Being able to gather together live here right now. I know some of you are watching this later on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do the YouTube things. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button, all those things. You get notifications as soon as these videos go up. As soon as the recordings drop, you'll get a notification and you'll be able to stay up to beat with us. So tonight, it is session 2 for us, diving into the details of our TRENDFORCE indicator that has been custom built by my dad, aka Tim Stevenson. And so our team, we've been running with this now for just over a week or so. So people have had access for a little bit longer. Some pretty cool results already coming in behind the scenes of those that have been back testing some stuff. I know Dad will be mentioning that soon. But we've got a very detailed plan for tonight. We had something already. We've mapped out weeks worth of stuff that we're going to bring, but felt in the last couple of days and really just confirmed today that we're going to mix it up and change it up and just rather go a little bit deeper on the ins and outs of what is inside of this indicator, guys, so we can rather get everyone really up to speed on that before we try to talk about Dad's phenomenal ways of compounding your money safely. So him being an accountant, he's got a phenomenal plan for that, but we'll get to that. And so for now, we're definitely going to focus on just making sure everyone knows the ins and outs of how this thing functions so that we can all really start to have clarity on, which signals to take and ignore and how to measure the strength of every signal. So with that, I thought one more thing on my mind. This morning was just thinking, and then I saw a reel. I don't know if any of you follow, trading gurus on Instagram. Don't even know who it was, but it was probably Mark Douglas actually. But just the audio was all about patience and how basically this tiny little mindset nugget for us today is we've been programmed most of our lives to go to work or go to a job where we go somewhere and we do something and we've got to show up and put a bunch of effort into something. We've got to move the needle forward. We've got to get something done. And trading is the complete opposite of that. We show up and we wait. So if we're showing up with that same mentality of having to get something done, have to click a button, have to get ready, have to get in the right position, have to right now in this exact time window that I'm showing up, that's when we'll often force a trade outside of our rules and often get ahead of ourselves. And honestly, guys, I want to really commend you. If you're able to sit for 2 hours on your hands and not push a button on a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever day of the week it is, but you were able to say, you know what, none of my setups that followed gave me the amount of confirmations that I wanted to take a trade were met, so I sat on my hands. Or, jump on demo if you really just need to click the button. But honestly, being able to lean back and go, I bet you all of us, if we had known, like if we look at an entire week of trading, and we said, you know what, across 5 days of actually being on the charts, there were 2 days I clicked a button, but on those 2 days, I had 2 bangers, 2 absolute outstanding trades, and I moved my account forward 2% on each day. That's 4% for the week. I'm sure each of us would lean back big picture and go, you know what, 4% in a week is amazing. And so instead of having to click a button every day. And so just remember, like zooming out and going, it's not about every single day clicking a button. It's about having the patience and letting the market bring us those divine opportunities, which show up all the time. I remember someone saying that the opportunity of a lifetime in the chart shows up once every 2 weeks. And so just be aware that there will be opportunities. And if they don't happen inside that little micro moment of a day that you happen to be watching a screen, give yourself grace and realize the market owes you nothing. The market owes me nothing. Our job is to show up and be patient and follow rules and follow the process. That was actually what that reel was about. Following the process, showing up and being ready to execute, but not forcing it. Otherwise, that's when we end up forcing errors. So enough of that for now. We're going to transition to the next part of tonight, which I know Dad has got loads to share with us, and we're also going to open up for Q&A as well. So some of you have been tinkering and figuring out all the different pieces inside this wonderful indicator, and so there'll definitely be time for Q&A. So you can post questions in the chat, and at the same time I'll relay those to Dad because he might just get onto a wonderful sharing rant, and I'll interject with questions here and there, and we'll rock and roll and flow from there, guys. So without further ado, Dad, I know you're in here somewhere. I'm going to find you and pin you and share the screen with you and give you access to do all those wonderful things, and we'll rock and roll from there. So thank you for flipping the script today and being open to just really meet the needs of where we're all at so that we can move at the pace of family. So over to you.
Yep. Thanks, Ty. We do want to scratch where it's itching. And I want to say first, I really appreciate all the questions. I think we see ourselves as a trading community. I don't want you to see me or Ty as the experts. I think we're all learning and growing together. One of my values as a church leader is that I always have an L on my back. It's not L for leader, it's L for learner. So I'm always wanting to learn and grow. And I just enjoy the sense of community where people are asking questions, because I may not think of things. I may have some blind spots, and someone asks a question, and it answers a question for a lot of people who have the same question. Also wanted to say as well, and I was just reflecting that we've got to see this as a journey. There's no instant way to success in trading. That's why, I like to say that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And this indicator is new, the strategy is new, there's a lot to learn. And so we're trying to just, like, as I think Ty uses the phrase, run at the pace of family. We're going to learn and grow together. I mean, I've developed like twice as much as what you see on the screen. Obviously, we can't flood everything at once. But I'm also constantly developing, growing, thinking, and praying of better ways to trade, better ways to fashion this indicator. And so I just really see us as a community growing together, learning together, and succeeding together. I'll say I was going to start off what I was going to share about capital management by saying again, you only need 30 pips a day to become wealthy in trading. If you can get 30 pips a day, you will become wealthy. It's not about trying to knock it out the park all the time. As you slowly increase your lot size, if you say, for example, grow to a lot size of $10 US, you get 30 pips. That's $300 US, 500 New Zealand dollars a day. Well, you can live on that. And so it's not about having to try and get these massive trades. And for me, for my budget, I just need one good trade a day almost. Like today, I think I pointed out on the NAS, there was a 3-minute sell that went for about 110 pips. There was a Dow buy that I entered. I didn't stay with that to walk the dog. But I jumped in and I left out early to walk the dog. But that also went about 120 pips. I mean, you just need one trade a week. And that's why there's that saying in trading, patience equals pips. And the market has been ranging. I've said it a few times, in our feed, because of the elections, it's been a bit up and down. There haven't been that many opportunities. And I think the night we first presented it, I think I said it's not the greatest time to start presenting an indicator because the market is ranging, but it will find its pace. So I just want to encourage you to be patient. Traders will often be better off not pressing the button. As Ty said, sometimes I sat the other day for 2 hours, nothing really manifested itself, so I didn't press the key. But other days, the market will give a lot more. So it's growing in patience. And so, as I've said before, we will bring little modifications. I'm constantly working on stuff. And we are going to give an update after tonight. So I want to just go through 2 things very quickly and then just go through, someone's got a question here, 30 pips a day. Now, obviously, Wayne, that's a good question already. 30 pips a day when you have a 60 pip stop loss. I don't mean you must get out the trade early. I'm saying all you need is 30 pips a day. If you've got a big stop loss, you must do your 2 to 1. But you don't need to knock it out the park. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'll talk more about that when we get to talk about capital management. So there are 2 little things we're going to talk about firstly tonight. Then I'm going to just touch on a few things that would help you, get going. So Ty, I'm going to share my screen now. If we can you can get me on there. So I think this is the one that I want. Share. All right. So hopefully my screen is now showing. All right. So I'm just on the Dow. And so there's 2 things I've added recently. I just want to see if I can move my screen. I've got people's photos just in the way there. That's okay. So what I've added, the first thing I've added, I'll just show you on the indicator, then I'll show you where it is. So if we look under inputs, right at the bottom, this is I've added to make trading on the phone easier. I've got Trendzone Alignment lights. And so here it is. Now with everything, you can edit colors. We've called this Trendzone Alignment lights. I've just called it TZA. And so basically it's a little light that tells you if you're above all the trading zones. So if we're in a buyer momentum, bullish momentum, if the light is green, then you're above all the trend zones, making it very safe to buy. And likewise, the light will turn red if you're below all the trend zones. Then if in between trend zones, in other words, you may be above the M15, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you may be below, if say in a buy below the 1 hour zone or the 4 hour zone, then it'll be orange. So if you look on the screen, hopefully it's visible. There's just a little light over here. You can see in the left-hand corner. So right now it's orange, which means we're between trend zones. So if you buy, it means somewhere above there is a higher level trend zone that you'll have to cross, or we've crossed one already. So yeah, we're below the 3 minute. So that's why the orange light has come on. Once it breaks above, it'll turn back to green. So that's very useful because if you think about trading on a phone, and I'm going to talk more about that next week, you sometimes have to make a quick decision. You'll need a lot of information at one moment, And so that will immediately tell you that's one point. That's one of the points of our Trendzone Alignment rule. So if it's green, then you're clear to go. And I'll talk about more next week. So if you're trading on the phone, you want a quick view. What's the risk like? You want to be able to only take low risk, high probability trades on the phone. And that's going to help you quite a bit. So that's a light there. And I've been testing that. It works all fine. So in sell mode, you're below all the trend zones. It's red. Right now, we're between, it's orange. And if you're above everything, it's green, then makes the trade safer. Then the other thing we spoke about was just our EMAs. I think I said in the message, we were purposely a bit vague with more of our public launch, just getting some interest. So I left the numbers, off the indicator. But we do need to know them, and they are important. I'll reference them. And so if we look now how we've updated things, I'll just go through this very slowly. So most people trade on a 1 minute, but of course other people trade in other time frames, and this indicator is great for any time frame. I've said it a few times. The higher the time frame, the more accurate it becomes. And so these zones here, the 3-minute trend zone, the 15-minute trend zone, we're familiar with these, the 1 hour, which is purple, the 4 hour, that's teal. These are based on a 1 minute perspective. But everything is totally scalable. If you trade on a 3 minute, everything just goes up to the 3 minute, and all those things still need to align. So I'm now going to go through just what each one of those are. People have asked an odd question here, and you may have some idea. So if I go to style now, I've got the actual EMA numbers written next to each one. So the 4 hour trend zone, that's an EMA 2584. Now, it may sound like an unusual number, but of course, you've guessed that's a fib number. And so in my earlier, experimenting with trading using indicators, I often found that price would hit that zone and reverse. And then eventually I put two and two together, and I realized that is basically where the 4 hour trend zone sits. So that's a 2584. And I've even been, I don't mean to boast or sound arrogant, but I've often been on forums where an experienced trader's been teaching, doing some live trades, and I've had that EMA on my chart, and they've said the trade's going to reach there, and I've said to my wife, I bet you it's going to stop right where that EMA is. And sure enough, it stopped there. So these zones are very strong for support and resistance. Then with the 1 hour trend zone, that is an EMA 987. I've always been a great fan. Now, obviously, between 987, 284, in between these EMAs, there are other EMAs. But you don't want to flood your screen with too much information. But through my kind of testing and discovery, these are the main ones that price respects, and each one of them aligns with a specific time frame. Then the 15-minute one, you can see that trailing below here. It's green at the moment, red and then green. That is an EMA 233. So that's another fib number. That's the 233 is like a very strong. And that's basically where the 15-minute trend zone is on the M1. Then we have the two shorter ones. We got a 13, which is, I've just made it a bit thinner. That's the 13. And then beneath that is an SMA 21. I mean, that is a very powerful measure of trend. That's why I've chosen it. And it's a simple moving average. And I'll talk more about that on another evening. And then finally, this band that's bright green, dark green, that is a 55. So no matter what zone you're on, no matter what time frame you're on, these things remain the same. They'll always be, if you're on the 3 minute, that's still a 13, that's a 21, that's a 55, that's a 233, and down here we'll have the 987. So these are massive for reversals. And so let's just look at a few other things. So what's also great about this indicator, just to whet your appetites, when we get to looking at the notifications on the phone, what stopped me doing swing trades is that, often if you do a swing trade, for example, on a 4 hour, that signal mainly come once every 2 weeks. So you're not going to be looking at the 4 hour every minute of the day. But with notifications, you can set your notifications to a 4 hour buy or a 4 hour sell and pick up some great swing trades. So I just want to show you how good this indicator is on high time frames. So I'm just going to go to my 8 minute, blow that up. And I'm just going to change that to a 4 hour. And the screen, obviously, I just need to reset the screen so we can make more sense of it. Let me just adjust this slightly. So This now is a 4-hour time frame. Look how good this is for swing trades. So look at this bar signal. If you had your notifications turned on, you may have had to get up early in the morning, but if I was doing swing trading and I got a signal at 4 in the morning, I'd get up and have a look and enter the trade if the conditions are met. Here's a bar signal on Friday, 22nd November. And look how good the signal was. You got a bar signal plus you got the diamond for buyer momentum. You can see the 55 is bright. TRENDFORCE is all 3 lights bright. So that candle would have opened somewhere over here. If you took that trade, it hit just under TP3. I mean, there was 1,137 pips there in that trade. And you can see because we're trading with trend, there was no signal there because that was counter trend. If we go back, there was another, the previous signal before that, look at that. That was on the 6th of November. So, I mean, that was like almost 3 weeks ago. There was a bar signal. If you had your notifications on, you got a signal for buy. And that would have been a great trade. I mean, that goes off the screen, but that's 2,000 pips. I mean, that's a life-changing trade. If you go back again, there's another bar signal. There were over the space of about a whole month, there were only 3 signals for swing trading. So if you took that signal, I mean, that also, there was also, a lot of pips in that would have opened somewhere over there. So just showing you, there was, almost 1,000 pips. So look at that, over a month, there were only 3 signals. So if you had your phone set to 4 hours swing trading, 4-hour signal, you'd have got 3 very good signals and no false signals. So again, the higher the time frame, the more accurate this indicator becomes. So I know we all started, often on the same kind of time frame, but eventually, I mean, I want to get more into swing trading, especially now with notifications. So let's just see, what time was this one here? What hour of the night was that? That was 8 o'clock in the morning. Look at that. Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, you would have got a signal, 4-hour. Boom, there we go. Great signal that. So that just shows you what you can do with this indicator. Let me just take it back to the 8-minute. Then I'm just going to run through some other details. Let me just run that up there. Okay, let me get my 1 minute back. So here we go, back at the 1 minute. So I mean, with this also, there's multiple. We are sticking basically to the simple things first. But I mean, I don't know if anyone else likes, Tara knows, I call it extreme scalping. Often I just do 10 pip trades. You can get 40, 50 pips, especially when the market's ranging. Now that does require a lot of rules, not going to go that way. But you can use this for extreme scalping. I mean, eventually we'll get into counter trend reversal, but that'll be way down the line. We're first sticking with trend. All right, there's some other things I want to mention. So, people have asked what certain things mean. So if we just have a look again, let me just I'm not on let me go back to the 1 minute. Here we go. We'll just check out the 1 minute here. So if we look, for example, there's some things that are very powerful. So by now we'll know the diamonds. If we go to style, we can see here I take this very serious, the buyer momentum and seller momentum. So those are the little diamonds. Now remember, you can change them to anything you want. I just like diamonds. You can change the colors. You can put them above or below the bar. I just like them below. Everything's editable. But this is very powerful. So when you see a diamond like that, and you see they don't appear often, there's one there showing buyer momentum. That shows seller momentum. There's buyer momentum. There's seller momentum. They don't occur on and off. They don't flick on and off like a set of traffic lights. So these are based on something called the average true range. And so it's I didn't invent that. It's just, that has been invented a long time ago. I've just made it into a signal. But that's a powerful indication that momentum has shifted. So the average true range is basically counting, it's calculating how strong is seller momentum right now. So from that signal, seller momentum was very strong all the way until it switches over there. And at that point, the average true range was telling us now that momentum has shifted from sellers to buyers. It's also a great indicator to re-enter a move. So it's almost as strong as a bar signal. I mean, now things are a bit rangy, but if, for example, you missed that bar signal there was a pullback you want to re-enter, you could possibly consider entering where you see one of those triangles. So very often it can be used to re-enter a trade. Like here's a good example. So there was a buy signal. I mean, things are a bit rangy during the day. This was at what 1542. It went up, it pulled back. If you wanted to re-enter the trade, there is buy momentum. So the sellers try to push price down. That triangle, that diamond says no. Whoops, it's definitely with the buyer. So when that signal came, look what happened to price. From that point, price went up another 25 pips. That would have been a good trade. So these are very accurate in terms of momentum. And likewise, you can also pull out, if you're in a trade and you see a red triangle you're in a buy, it can be a good place to exit. So that is something that works very well. Likewise for a sell, if you're in a downtrend, and if I can just find an example quickly, if there's a big pullback. Okay, there was this huge move in the day. This was on news. It dropped 160 pips. That came on the announcement that Hezbollah and Israel may go for a 60-day ceasefire. So immediately that caused all the markets to drop. So I'm trying to think if there's a pullback in a sell. I may not find one right here. Well, let's leave it for now. But anyway, so that's why I've got that triangle, that the diamond in this indicator. It also, remember, gives you warning before it trades. So very often the diamond will come first, and that warns you momentum is now shifted and you wait for your entry. And likewise, if this was a with trend sell, that would warn you now that momentum is now shifted. So I'm always looking for when this diamond appears, because it's your early warning signal that a trade is about to come. Then what else I want to talk about? Yes, now I want to talk about this. Someone did ask about this triangle. So if we look at the indicator, I'm just picking on some important things, and I'm sure then we'll have some questions. Got a few more things to say. People have asked about this triangle down here, which is your M15 trend zone break. All right, so this is basically on the 233. So if you were trading on whatever time frame, on the 5-minute, 15-minute, that is the 233 breaking that trend. So the 233 is a major indication of trend. That's why we have it in the strategy. So a triangle appears. So I'll just explain just carefully what that means and why I didn't make that an official buy signal. So here's a good example. This was this morning. All right, so there was a big sell. So price dropped down about 40, 50. I don't know. That was I can't remember the pips. That was a huge trade right there. Then price obviously reversed and began to come up. So at this point, it broke the M15 on the 1 minute, which if you were on another time frame, that would still be the 233 on every time frame. So what that triangle is telling you is that price has broken through the 233. So I purposely have made that a buy signal, because when price breaks through the 233, there's often a pullback. Sometimes it'll break through and just shoot straight up, and you'll think, well, I should have taken it. But this morning was a good example. Because whenever price breaks through the 233, there's often a pullback, and you're never quite sure which is the pullback that's going to go up again. So this is a good example why I didn't make a buy signal here. We can see that price broke through. Now that triangle is telling us it's broken through the 233, but it's also telling us that the trend has changed, because all the other higher time frame trend zones are below us. And so when you see that triangle, that means the 1 hour and the 4 hour, which are the 987 and the 2584, are below us, meaning the trend has changed. But you can see price broke through. Then you thought, well, maybe that's the pullback. I'll enter there. It came up. It came back again and tested it. It went up again, came back again and tested, went up again, like for the 4th time, came back and tried to test it again. And only after that did the trade begin to move. And so all that triangle is telling you is that price has broken through this trend zone, which is the equivalent of a 233. And this will apply on every time frame. So if that broke through on the 5-minute, it may well retest. That's why you have to be cautious. And that's why before you enter a trade based on that triangle, you need to check the high time frames. And so you would probably find the 3-minute was not really positioned. That's why it pulled back. Then what is also good about this breakthrough, because when you break through the 233, it can indicate that the downtrend has now ended, like there was a massive downtrend, and now the market's moving back into an uptrend. And the reason is because I've already measured, if you took price here and where it almost closed, it went up almost 150 pips. And the reason is because, I know it's a bit random, but when the trend changes like that, you often get a 15-minute buy signal. So I think if you look back on the 15-minute, I think the 15-minute buy signal came around about over here. And if you have a 15-minute buy signal, they move, obviously much higher than a 1 minute or a 3 minute. So if you look back, I think it went up about 150 pips. And so I hope that's brought a bit more understanding that don't just jump in if you see the triangle. It's only telling you that potentially the trend is not changed to an uptrend. It may still pull back. You need to wait for high time frame confirmation before you enter in. And then shout out to Mike Oosthuizen. I think he's on tonight. I think I saw his name. He sent through a very good observation, which I've kind of haven't mentioned, but he picked it up, so I thought I'd talk about it tonight. And that is with the orbs. One of the main reasons why I had the orbs, let's just pick up where they are showing. One of the main reasons why I put these orbs in the indicator is to get rid of false signals. And so the lower the time frame, the more false signals you get. For example, there's a false signal. You wouldn't have taken that one. You can see the trend zone's completely wrong. It's in sell mode, and likewise down with our MACD, also in the wrong zone. And you can see whenever these zones are not aligned, there's not always a pullback. And so the main reason why I put these zones in was really more for the 1 minute than anything else. And so there are the rules. They must be pointing in the right direction. There must be the right color. You don't take signals if the signal's right in the middle. You want to take signals more to the right. And so it's far more clearer with the 1 minute. So in the 1 minute, you'll find that the signals, both buy signals and sell signals, will be far more to the right. And so you can see just in the short space that there were 1, 2, 3, 4, there were already 5 signals just in the short space of time. If you're on a 5 minute, there may only have been 1. So on the higher the time frame, it's not as essential for the signal to be close to the right-hand side. As long as the orbs are the right color and heading in the right direction on high time frames, then generally it's a safe trade. But for the 1 minute, it's really important to try and only take signals where the sell signal is more to the right. But also what's very encouraging, I wanted to scream with excitement that Mike did some back testing. He took gold. So those who like gold, I think Drew just put shout out for gold there. He liked gold. Mike did some back testing on gold on the 5 minute, and he tested over 2 months. And even when there were signals of only 6 out of 10, there was a 90% win rate with this indicator. So I'll say that again. That was phenomenal. So he back tested gold on a 5 minute, and like a lot of traders preferred trading gold, at the 5 minute level. 3 minute for me is good enough, but 5 minute is safer. So on the 5 minute, over a 2 month period, even with only 6 out of 10 for entries, it still had a 90% win rate, this indicator. So that's pretty phenomenal. All right, then just a few other things before we maybe go to some questions. I'll just end with this. There's 2 magic things. They're not quite magic, but they're 2 things that I really keep an eye open for. And some of these things, honestly, I just got by revelation. Sometimes I was out just pre-walking and I just felt the Holy Spirit say to me, try this, do that. And 2 things I look for. So these are our little tips that really make a difference. And the one is, now obviously the market is ranging now, so it's not really a good indication. But I look a lot at this at the 55. So here it's the 3 minute trend zone on the 1 minute, but it will be a 55. When this goes bright, there's normally always a good move. And so whenever this is bright, price moves. If you look, so there's a buy, if you can see when bright, price shot up. So it doesn't always obviously work in trend, but if you look at that massive fall today, now this is a bit of a counter trend, so we wouldn't have taken this. But whenever you get a signal and you see this 55 brights, price is going to fall phenomenally. And so when I'm trading, I'm constantly looking at the color of the 55. And when it's bright, price always moves. If you look at all the big moves, like this is a classic signal that is going to move. I mean, there was a big pullback. There may have been reasons for that, but look where it ended up. When you get a signal and the 55, so on the 1 minute, that's the 3-minute trend zone, when that is bright, price always moves. So I'm always keeping an eye out for the 55. If it's close and bright, even if it's not too close, if it's bright, I tell you what, there's always great moves. And the other thing, and I mean, these things were just, I just believe it came by revelation. TRENDFORCE, I love trading on the 3-minute. When you get a 3-minute signal, I mean, let me just change this to the 3-minute. And we'll just go back to this morning. So let me just adjust this. What I've noticed over time is that when everyone's pictures are blocking off the right-hand side of my screen. That's just a little gimmick here. Let me just... The trades that really move is when you get a buy signal and TRENDFORCE on the 3-minute is aligned. It always moves. So I was looking at the 3-minute. I had a sliver of the 3-minute on the right. I always have 1 minute in the middle. Sometimes I just look at the 3-minute. So when you get a buy signal and you get the 3-minute lighting up all bright colors, whether it's a sell or a buy, I tell you, it always moves. I just had to go walk the dog, but you can see from that signal, this thing went up 114 pips. I would just need one of those trades a week. So I really keep a close eye on the 55 when that's bright. And also the other thing that really works is the 3-minute when the oscillator, the TRENDFORCE oscillator, TFO for short, is bright. Trades often move phenomenally. So I think I will stop talking now. I've been talking about half an hour. There may be some questions. So Todd, do you want to... I can't see any questions at this point because I've been sharing my screen.
I've been chipping away at answering some in there, but maybe one piece of clarity. Like I think Seth asked about, so when that triangle pops off with the trend shift, I know you were talking about, so let me just clarify something as well. When that triangle pops, if price is breaking above or below the 233, we only get a triangle if the higher time frames are in the right place?
Absolutely correct, yes.
Okay, so basically if price is breaking above or below and we're in between, so you would get like an orange on the new update, it will not give us a triangle. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
So that triangle is basically the trend shifting moment.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay,
so
cool.
I mean, it's a very, very important indicator, but there's often, you can see this would happen here. So I showed on the 1 minute how earlier it pulled back. We can see these pullbacks are very common after you've broken the 233 on whatever time frame. So once that break, this case, there was a buy signal and the triangle in one. That's why I jumped in, especially when I saw the oscillator light up. I thought, unfortunately, I only took 20 pips on that trade. What I did was I just did a bit of a trailing stop loss, and then obviously I left it and I got stopped out. So, I mean, I would have maybe done differently if I would watch the whole thing move. But that's a very good point. So right now you can see a little light. Hopefully you can see it on the Zoom is orange, which means we are between. We're not fully free. But this then indicates that the trend has shifted and we're now moving to an uptrend, which is quite an important part of our strategy.
Very cool. Okay, I think there was one more. Okay, so Wayne, you mentioned that you had lots of stuff we could put on the screen. What are the must-haves to have on your screen? I guess the other question might be if people were wanting to lower the opacity of some things or minimize some things or other, because it obviously depends. If you're wanting to look at this on your phone, it is busy and you can minimize stuff. But initially, I would say before you try and jump ahead to wanting to have the most amazing notifications and this indicator on your phone or in your pocket, it does require recognizing the most important elements of it so you can make a quick decision if you're on your phone. Because if you're on your phone, you're probably not staring at it for the last 10 minutes to really take it all in. So you'll get there, but just give yourself a little bit of time to get there. But sorry, so that question, what are the must-haves and to be aware of? And that might also touch on clear space, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think as it is, this is the bare minimum. I wouldn't leave anything out. All the EMAs, if I just go through what's on here, I mean, you need all the zones, I wouldn't leave anything out. I mean, I can talk a bit about the minor resistance and support. I still use that, but I mean, everything is essential. I wouldn't trade with, I wouldn't leave anything out. Part of the strategy is, little things may not, even this reversal support and resistance, I won't talk about it tonight. I use that a lot to re-enter trades. If it rejects that little line, for example, I mean, I'm just looking straight away. Like, for example, here, there's this is the little reversal line. And this is a very indicator. This little line can tell you where the price is going to go up or down. And so that line there, you can see how price tested it 1, 2, 3 times. And this is a 3-minute chart. So for almost 10 minutes, it was stuck in the zone. Once it broke below, that's a good sign now. Price is going to fall down. And so, I mean, even these little things I've worked out what is important all the time. And basically, I've left so much out because it would look too much like a Christmas tree. There are a lot of other bits and pieces that I had before, and Ty and I spoke about what to leave out. And so I wouldn't leave anything out. But obviously, trading on the phone, I mean, I want to talk about that next week. I've got some good ideas how to set up charts for that. And that's why I've developed some of these things on the indicator. For example, someone also raised a good question. They said, this is not completely accurate. Now, it's 100%. This just tells you if the MACD is in buy or sell zone. What it doesn't tell you, for example, is if the signal line is already pulling back or the MACD line is pulling back, it doesn't replace it. But I did the MACD table here was specifically to make phone trading easier, just so you can make an informed decision. So, I mean, basically, I would say everything's important, but you can tone things down. You can thin lines out. And I'll talk about phone trading next week and notifications, things like that. But I mean, every single thing on here, I would say is pretty essential. You can just, dumb them down. But I've spent a lot of time trying to research this, what's important. And basically, I look at everything in the decisions that I make. So I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Yeah, that was good. Really appreciate that. That's and I mean I've messed around a lot with basically for me personally, like I take all of the pivots and I make them 50% opacity when I've got it all. I'm trying to keep it all as stock and standard as Dad has it at the moment so that our early recordings are as similar as possible. But there's a lot of things that, for instance, if you lower the opacity on those, you're still going to have the labels on the far right of each line that are bright. So Dad, if you just drag your screen, drag it left so you can see the far right, you'll see what I mean. Because you can have those lines a little bit more blurred in the background, but there where it says R1 daily, that little green box will always be bright. So the line, you'll still be aware of it. So little things like that, you'll find out. And just to reiterate what Dad said about that MACD table, it's brilliant. But there's also, like, I can tell you there's so much information. Like I'll do a teaching one night on a MACD and how I utilize that, because basically that was one of the only things I was using while trading on my phone, traveling around South Africa, and being aware of whether those zones are above or below the 0 line makes a huge difference as well for some big trades. So all those little things, we'll get into those nuggets. Just don't want to overwhelm everyone and just give you time to just take it all in. Get your eyes familiar with it, because we've spent my constant thing is the funny part is we've been going backwards and forwards, and I've been trying to hack and remove as much as possible while keeping as much of the vital stuff. So that has definitely been the job behind the scenes, so that we're not info overload. Anthony's asking, is there an easy way to set up the 4-hour notifications? I don't know if you can give a 30-second demo of how to do that.
I can do that quickly. So all you do is let's just.
I think you got everyone real excited with that 4-hour demo.
So let me just change this back to the 4-hour. Sorry, I just need to move the chart a bit this way. Okay, so to set up the 4-hour, I mean, I'll just show. It's very easy. You simply go to notifications here. Alerts and plus, and so you press, so I'll just do that slowly. So you can all see my screen under alerts. You can see all my previous ones have gone off. Those in the 3 minutes. You press plus, and then it immediately, you set it up on the chart you're on. So it's saying US 30, 4-hour. So if you wanted to set up a buy, you simply, where am I looking now? You have to choose the indicator. So TFI, that is our main TRENDFORCE indicator. So you click on that. So we choose that. Then we've got buy signal. So that's setting up the buy signal. Alert name, you could just call it H4 buy. And then you can also check on notifications, notify an app. So that's all I don't send emails or anything else. I just have an app on my phone. So once you've done that, you just click create. And now that is created, you can see it'll add it somewhere in the chart. There we go. So that's now active. So that's got the 4-hour active. Then if you wanted to add a cell, you just click plus again. Where it's got condition, at the moment it's got price, you click the little down arrow there and you choose the TRENDFORCE indicator. You click on that. And now we want a sell signal. All you do is you simply go down and you click sell and give it an alert name. I would just call that H4 sell. Create. All right, so there we've got it. So now we've got a 4-hour sell signal or 4-hour buy signal, and that's all it is. And
one question there, Selena asking, does the once per bar close button matter, or once every, you know what I mean? Like it's
no, yeah. So what you can do is, I mean, I just want it once on the 4-hour. Otherwise, that's going to go at 4 hours, and 4 hours later, 4 hours later, it's going to keep going. So I just keep it on the. You can edit if you want to edit you just pull it back. So I just have only once. Otherwise, I mean, if you want, you can have once per bar. Then it's going to keep going. But I just only once, and it works perfectly. Like the one afternoon, I took one trade on my walking on the beach. I logged in quickly, and that's why I produced this. I did make one loss. I made a win, but also made a loss, and that's why I introduced this, because I couldn't see the high time frame MACD. So this was specifically introduced for phone trading through notifications. Because I mean, this is a big game changer, because now you don't have to sit looking at the chart for like a whole month trying to wait for a good signal. Your notifications will tell you.
Very cool. I'm answering Zed's question in text, but for the sake of the video, are those alerts only valid when you're in a swing trade? Can you set up the alerts for a 1 or 3 minute? Yes, you can.
Absolutely. You can set up 1, 3, 5, 15. You can just soak it. You can do anything.
There you go. So yeah, guys, that's I think Cam had that in the chat today. He said when you get a signal on the 1, 3, 5 minute or within a short space of time, you know something's about to happen. And that, I think with on gold it was like 12:27. I think 12:30 there was a signal on the 5 minute on gold, and about 1 to 3 minutes before that there was a 3 minute and a 1 minute signal. So they would have all stacked. And when you get 3 of them in a cluster like that, like a 1, 3, and a 5. Those signals all popping off close together means that we're probably just coming out of range. The moving averages would have been pretty horizontal. And then as price broke, 1 minute would have popped first, then the 3, then the 5. And by the time that 5 minute goes, you know that things have started to pull away. So you'll start to get the hang of that. Like if you're watching a 1, 3, and 5 minute chart a lot, you'll see how price moves and how long it takes for different signals to pop off, things like that. But if you've got alerts, yeah, guys, bit of a game changer that we can all learn and master together as time goes on. Just checking questions here.
Can I just say one thing, Ty? This is quite a good example again. That look at the signal. This is obviously on the 4-hour, and the 55 on the buy signal. The 55 is bright green.
Oh.
I mean, that means that is really going to move. So that applies. This 55 going bright colors applies on every single time frame. To me, that was like a magic discovery in developing this indicator.
Yeah, there's, let's just say, science behind what makes those things light up. And I think it's fair to say they don't exist anywhere else. Anywhere. That was custom. Another question in here. Let's just see. So Wayne's asking about, I use TradingView for charting and CTrader for my trading. I think you use MT4 for your trading. Dad and I don't. It's both TradingView mainly at the moment. When the sell buy signal pops up and you have ascertain that it is a genuine signal, how do you go about setting your stop loss and TP parameters on your trading charts in the short time frame you have before the candle moves too far away. So I mean, I can answer that in essentially, like if you're getting a signal and it's a 5 minute signal or 3 minute signal, you've really got, I guess, that entire bar to make that decision. Price is obviously going to move within that candle. So if you're getting 1 minute alerts, you've got 59 seconds from that ping. And that alert might ping during that 1 minute candle. So that's why I would never be setting alerts for the 1 minute. Your phone will go nuts all day. But yeah, 3 minute, 5 minute, you've got enough time then to maybe open up a device, have a look, and then make a decision from there, Wayne. So yeah, let me just check. So if that was made or above or below the zero line, sorry, MACD, yeah, Selena. Well, I'll get into MACD depth at another time because at the moment we're not really programming anything specifically above or below. It's more that the zones are in alignment. So the blue zone or red zone on the MACD between the two signal lines are either blue or red. That's kind of how we're determining for trend alignment. Then Joe's got a good question with TradingView Essential Plan. It says 20 price alerts. Is that per day, per month, or is it enough? So that's 20, I think, in total. That's one of the reasons why I upgraded early when I was doing crypto, because I set a lot of alerts on my charts. And so you could potentially have enough. You've got to think about that. You're going to need two in general. You're going to have one per sell, one per buy, per time frame, per chart. So they will rack up. But if you're only doing like 3 or 5 minute alerts, then you could get away with, I guess, having them across gold, Nas, Dow, things like that. And just cycle them, and as they get deleted, you're going to be able to refresh them. So it's just while they are pending alerts that they are active, I believe. But there's not much of a price difference either between, I think, Pro and Premium right now with the discount. Marcus, best to wait for the 4-hour or 5-minute candle to close and confirm the signal stays before entering. I'm just understanding that while I'm reading it. Best to wait for the 4-hour or yeah. So I guess that's the good point, guys. Like that candle, a lot can happen in the space of 5 minutes or 4 hours. So there is obviously the risk of when you're looking at a 4-hour signal popping off. I mean, Dad, you can comment on this. Can that potentially, if price reverses during that 4 hours, that buy signal could disappear during that candle until it's printed entirely? Is that right?
Yep, it can. But you always got to look at what else is. You got to look at the big picture. For example, before the signal, you had this is the 4-hour trade now. You can see you had a diamond there. There was already buyer momentum. Plus, you can see, if you look down to the TRENDFORCE oscillator, you can see there's a triangle up before the signal. So remember, the higher the time frame, the more accurate. So the time you got your buy signal, you've been told here by this triangle tells you the previous downtrends reversed. There's buyer momentum. Plus, this already would have been, this 55 would have been bright green already. So that would have been a high probability buy. So yes, you can wait for the buy signal, but often before there's enough information to make a decision once the signal shows. This was also a great signal here because, I mean, look how far back. This is like almost the Dow 2 before. The previous downtrend reversed way before. That's like each candle here is 4 hours. And so on the signal, you got the diamond. The 55 was already bright green, which makes it a high probability trade. And so if there's a lot of information already telling you that this trade is moving, it's not so clear. But if you look at this is the SMA 21, was already bright green, to a candle before, showing you already it's going to move up. So yes, you can wait, but often if you look at the bigger picture, there's a lot of other things telling you that trade is going to move. Plus, remember, we're only getting signals with trend. And the higher the time frame, the more accurate the indicator is. Plus, when you're dealing with a 4-hour high time frame, in an uptrend, those signals will be very reliable. If you're trying to do counter trend, that's when the signal may flash on and off. But with trend, they're far more reliable. So I don't know if that answers the question.
That was absolute gold. Yeah, it's same thing, right? You've just got a whole lot more time to measure the strength of that signal based on other things that have already shown up, like diamonds, etc. So where can we find the recordings? So guys, always on my YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, so then, because I often try my best to get it up the night of. It just depends on how long it takes Zoom to export this, how long it takes me to chop it and edit it, export it out of my editing software, and then upload it to YouTube. So I always have a long night. But if it's taking too long, I just drag the final export into YouTube the next morning. But you'll get a notification, like a bing bing, as soon as my videos drop. So that's the hack. But yeah, and tonight's one, it's a little tempting to keep this one private and unlisted and just share the link with you guys, because obviously we're giving away quite a lot of the hot sauce as to what's on the inside of this. But really, at the end of the day, no one's going to ever be able to recreate this thing. There's way too much custom code in there. I mean, you just look at how candles are changing color, moving averages are changing color, those bands, like there's so much inside of this that is just like, and just to reemphasize, like a lot of you have had access to just TRENDFORCE, the oscillator, for the previous year. I mean, we've had, people in our community that have been doing this for 20 plus years say to Dad that that's one of the most profound indicators that they've ever seen in 20 years of trading, just the oscillator. And so it's the combination of all of these specific elements that give us our clear set of rules and being able to measure one signal against another, which make this, I believe, the most safest space to be measuring the integrity of one trade signal versus another, because you can objectively measure every single moment. So yeah, checking out on the chat. So we're not really worrying about the 15-minute anymore. Definitely are still worrying about it in a sense of the 15-minute. So Dad, just to reiterate, I guess the 15-minute trend line, trend zone that we've been calling. I mean, it's the 233, Selena. So the 233. That is, so you correct me if I'm wrong there, but when we're looking at, say, the blue zone right now, like that's our trading zone, whatever time frame you're looking at. So we're on a 3-minute chart right now. That blue zone is our trend zone on the chart that we're looking at. Yep. That 233 is going to be the trend zone basically on the 15-minute if we were looking at the 1-minute chart right now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if down,
I've changed back. Let me change this back to a 1 minute.
One. Yeah.
So on the 1 minute.
There we go.
So this we're on the 1 minute. This is what the trend zone would be like on the 15-minute. So if we just change to the 15 minutes, you can see we're pretty rangy. So if we change to the 15-minute now, I bet you it's going to look pretty flat. It's probably looking rangy. And if we go back to the 15, you can see it's in this time period, you can see it's completely rangy. It's going sideways. So
I hope that makes sense, guys. So basically, the way that these beautiful numbers work with fibs is that I can't even begin to tell you how many different dozen numbers and moving averages and types of moving averages we've tested over the last 18 months. But the beauty of this is that trend zone on a 1-minute chart is equal to, like we said, those other fib numbers on those other time frames. So that's why we thought we could almost just call them the 4-hour zone, the 1-hour zone, the 15-minute zone. But now that you know the actual numbers, it helps you guys just understand and decipher a little bit more what's really going on. But yeah, hope that clarifies that question. It might take a little while for that to sink in, but it really will after a while. And then once you really understand the mechanics of this, it'll all click a whole lot more. So Kat, great question. Can I please suggest what time of day to go on and watch charts and learn, and what indices in those times? So that is always going to be personal preference, because I know most of us, or Dad and myself, usually kind of the 5 a.m. zone onwards, somewhere around there for a couple hours. There's opportunities across, Dow, NAS, gold. And then I know, some people trade lunchtime. The Asian Open, you're going to see the JPN move. You're going to see gold move. American stuff's not going to move much. So the NAS and the Dow won't usually have fireworks around the middle of the day. London Open, you're going to start seeing the NAS move a little bit more. Sometimes the Dow, sometimes not as much, because there's less UK interest in the Dow compared to the NAS, because the NAS is a basket of the top 100 tech stocks, which is a bit more global than the Dow Jones. So yeah, different. The way to honestly do it is to just get an indicator. I'll do a whole session on this one night. Type in Lux Algo and get the indicator called Sessions. And what I do, I mean, I might give a thing on this one night, but just show how when I approach the charts, I turn everything off, look at price action, zoom out to a 15-minute chart, turn on the Lux Algo Sessions thing, and I look at the highs and lows from previous sessions, like the highs or lows from London or New York or Asia, and I mark off those areas just as key interests, and then go and backtest and look how often price stop hunts those areas. So then you will see also, you'll start to get a real good mental framework of the amount of price movement certain charts have in certain sessions. So you can really design it around how you want to trade and do this, because some guys do morning, some do lunchtime, some do night. But there's always going to be a bit more movement when London or America is open. But yeah, hope that answers the question a bit, Kat. It really just depends. There's obviously some sleepy times, like approaching the close of the day and the initial open potentially. There's an hour or two either side of that that's going to be a little flat, little dead. Normally the last hour or two on a Saturday morning is going to be pretty flat line if there hasn't been big news on a Saturday. So yeah, and as you click on that indicator with the sessions, you're going to start to just naturally see those zones where price generally moves a lot. But I mean, things can still sometimes range. News can mess things up, but generally you'll get a feel for it. So have you got a good learning video on learning more the basics of TradingView somewhere? I can definitely share some playlists with you that I found, and my goal over the next 2 months is to actually make some of our own. So that is partly why, obviously, round one, we've said no to actually a lot of people that wanted to join us right now. We just wanted to let our community in that already knows a fair amount of base knowledge, but I want to eventually record a bunch of content which takes someone from knowing absolutely nothing to be able to navigate TradingView and navigate the ins and outs of understanding lots and leverage and pips and all that jazz. So it's coming. Any other questions, guys? Otherwise, we're pretty much bang on the hour. But
I wanted to say one more thing.
Yep, go for it.
Just in the settings. So this is the 4 hour. Now, when you do the 4 hour, you only need to really have if you're going to I've got the pivots turned off. But if I turn all the pivots on, you won't be able to read the screen, because you got to think this is a massive range. 4 hour signals are massive. So I'll just show you, if you turn all the pivots on the 4 hour, it's going to look a lot like a Christmas tree. So let me just quickly turn them all on. Here we go. So the higher the time frame, the less of these you need. So if you watch them, you just take a second to calculate, and then you will see you can't, obviously. So if you
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So you can't, on the 4 hour, you just need to have the quarterly on to get some idea about the key levels. So if I turn off the daily, weekly, monthly, it'll take a few seconds to recalculate. And you can see I've just got, for example, I've just got the quarterly. You can see how price respected the quarterly. It hung around there. I mean, I just love price action. You can see those candles right to the millimeter, and then price took off. And likewise, around this zone here, this was the R3 quarterly. You can see price respects on the 4 hour. I just look at the quarterly. Price again respects that almost to the millimeter. So, I mean, these pivots are very accurate. So you can see what happened. If you go to higher time frames, don't put them all on. You won't see the chart.
Very good, man. That was loads of value. Thanks, Dave.
And the other thing, look, I was going to say this next week, but you can, if you're on the phone, I especially put this ability to the position of label bars to the right. On your phone, you can bring them in. You can change that number to 5. If you just want them 5 bars to the right, you can see now this will move in just closer. So on the phone, you may want to see what they are. So that position of label bars to the right, I've just set it to 15, but you can move it further out. You can move it 1 bar to the right. It's just useful for on the phone. So you need, when you set it on the phone, we'll go through it in detail next week. You can adjust the settings so it becomes easier to read.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Guys, final questions for this evening. Otherwise, we can obviously keep rolling in our chats. But for now, that might be enough, unless anyone else jumps in. But hope that gives you just a whole nother layer of clarity. Rewatch this if you need to, bake it in, and have some back testing and have some fun. Otherwise, cool. I'm going to try and take the screen back.
I'll stop share.
There we go. You found the stop share button.
Yeah, I've learned the new Zoom updates.
All right, well, now I'm going to hit the remove you button. There we go. Thanks, Dad. Really appreciate that. And we're back.
Me off, yeah.
We're back. Okay, I'm back. I've taken control back of my Zoom. But guys, thanks so much. That was a lot of fun. I feel like I had something else in my head. Wait, one more question. How much are those demand and supply zones respected? Dad, I don't know if you want to chime in the background, answer that one. Demand supply zones. It's going to
Yep.
depend a lot on a few things, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I take them very seriously. So there's huge respect for them. So you can see here, look at
Oh,
this.
can't see your screen anymore.
Oh, sorry.
I've pinned you
Hold
back.
it. I'll just say, look, we'll do it another night. But
Okay.
I take them very seriously. They really do respect them. And these ones, you won't find this elsewhere. But mine, once they've been fulfilled, they delete. And if you break through, for example, if it was like a supply zone or support zone and price breaks through and closes below, they'll change color to red. So now they become a resistance zone. So you won't find that anywhere else. But I take them very seriously. So
yeah, and it might cause you to sit on your hands in a moment, but you got to remember that it's the losses you don't make more than the button pushing you didn't get to push, if that makes sense. So sometimes, guys, it just means patience. It just means, and I loved what he was saying earlier that that Mike back tested with 6 out of 10. So if you missed that, guys, Mike went and back tested 2 months worth of gold with the orbs and with everything, and basically found that the signals that were popping off, they were 6 out of 10 in signal strength, but they still produced a 90% win rate on the 5-minute chart. So let that sink in and go mess around with that if you want. But massive thanks, Mike, for going in and jumping in and giving us that info, because I love it. That's the joys of community, right? Someone going and jamming on what they're used to and getting that kind of numbers for us. So love it. Aside from that, guys, one more thing. I know Zeph said something on there about having a bigger screen, being able to see everything a bit more. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how much my life changed when I got a bigger screen. I was rocking my laptop for the first few months in the beginning. Then I think the first screen I got after that was an LG 32 or 34 inch flat wide thing, and Black Friday, guys. So if you ever wanted to get a screen, I can drop a bunch of, if you want, ask me, I can let you know the different screens I've had over the years. I've now got this beautiful absolute beast, which is like a 40-inch 5K. So I've got to like adjust resolution so I can see things or lean in. But it just means I can have a whole lot on one screen. Otherwise, that other one I used to have, I had 2 of them at one point, but I can't with a camera. So you got to figure out whatever suits you. But I definitely recommend do whatever you can to get like a 32, 34-inch widescreen. LG's definitely sync better with Macs as well if you want to go down that road. I've figured out all that kind of stuff over the years. But I can't stress enough. If you want to do this stuff, get a screen. A laptop it ain't enough in the big picture. You're just going to see so much more by having a bigger screen. So anyway, they're called new glasses.
Don't forget the updates.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. So guys, I've got code from Dad. I'm going to be processing that update tonight. I'll click publish. I'll let you know in the group chat when I've hit publish, because then all you need to do is remove the indicator and re-add it. And when you do that, you're going to be re-adding the updated version. So I'll let you know once I've done that. And then you will have those updates that we have put in there. So without further ado, have an amazing evening. Thanks so much for being with us. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Love you all loads. Look forward to seeing you soon. And one more thing I almost forgot, we will let you know about our next live event. We are aiming for the 8th of December, a Sunday night in Auckland. And we're also, guys, we want to invite you into this. We want to scratch your itches. So let me know. We're thinking about actually having a meal together, maybe even getting caterers in, spending time eating, fellowshipping, and then some training. And I know some of you are out of town. So if doing it earlier than later, like getting together and eating at 6 and finishing a little bit earlier would suit you, please just let us know. We want to do this in a way that suits everyone, but we want to really build community and have FaceTime together for those of us that can, at least in New Zealand and in or around Auckland. So without any more, guys, love you all loads. We'll see you in the chat and we'll see you in the next one. All right, good night, everyone.